Welcome to Navigating Texas Workforce Commission for Musicians, an interactive panel discussion. Fridays at 1 p.m. Brought to you by the Austin Federation of Musicians and with the Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee. The Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee are members of the Austin Federation of Musicians, Local 433 of the American Federation of Musicians, aka the Musicians Union. Some of us work as contractor 1099 workers, and others work as employee W-2 workers in various aspects of the music industry.
The goal of this session is to share our experiences, including trials and tribulations related to the Texas Workforce Commission, or TWC, with other musicians in the state of Texas to aid in navigating the TWC application process. We are not experts in unemployment assistance. We are musicians.
The information contained herein does not constitute either legal advice or an official pronouncement or a position of the Austin Federation of Musicians, but rather is only the personal opinions of the panelists. The panelists do not give legal advice or make official rulings on agency matters, should not be cited as authorities in any matter before the agency or when dealing with agency staff about a case, and must minimize their involvement with administrative processes. They also do not give legal advice on any other matter, and any information they should give should not be used as a basis for taking any employment-related action. Before taking any employment action that could adversely affect an employee, or before using any sample form or policy you may obtain from this group, you should consult a licensed private sector employment law attorney of your choice. All right, welcome back. This is Navigating Texas Workforce Commission for Musicians for April 23rd, 2021. And yeah, we're here again. Mark is with me. Hello, Mark.
Howdy.
We always talk about or at least remind you about the websites down at the bottom. That kind of are your horse's mouth sources of information, especially the TWC websites, TWC Facebook page, and then we have our local union sources where we try to conglomerate all the information together that's relevant to musicians, because we're a little different than most workers, as it turns out. Who knew? But yeah, so we also start with beverages all the time. I'm doing a little bit of coffee like usual. What do you got there, Mark?
Good old green tea.
Remarkably consistent as usual. Yeah, it's a good time for a little hot drink, because the allergens are really getting out there. But yeah, well, there's not a lot of news. I put together a couple little articles. About just the unemployment rate, and then a link to there's a new page on the Texas Workforce Commission website called SelfEmployed Texans American Rescue Plan Act, and there isn't a lot of new information there, but it's and I'm not sure exactly how new it is, but it's definitely since the American Rescue Plan Act passed, and it just sort of puts some information together for self-employed people. So we'll have a link to that in the show notes, and also the article about the jobless rate in Austin seems to be dropping, which is good. But of course, in the entertainment industry, we're going to be the last ones back, to full speed. Although we are getting back to things. And Mark, I know you got some performances this weekend, and things are coming back for a lot of musicians. So. That's great for sure, but the issue of unemployment and everything else is still going to be with us for quite a while. So, why don't we start with what you and I were talking about earlier, Mark? The identity thing with unemployment.
Yeah, I was kind of curious if any other members who are getting unemployment have had the same experience with TWC that I did. 10 days or so ago, I got a correspondence in my inbox on the TWC site saying that they had been unable to unable to verify my identity, and that therefore they were terminating my benefits. So I, previous to that, had received an email from TWC saying that they were wanting to verify my identity and that they were using a I guess, a third-party site called IDME.com. And TWC gave instructions for me to go onto that website and do all the process of what I needed to do to verify my identity, which I did. Sent in some documents and didn't hear anything more about it. And I figured everything was okay until a week or so later, I got the document from the correspondence from TWC saying that they were unable to verify my identity, so they were cutting me off from benefits. So I filed an appeal with TWC, and so far have not had that appeal date set. And I also tried several times to reach IDME.com to no avail. Nobody would respond in an effective way to my emails to explain to me what was going on. So this past Sunday was my normal filing date for TWC, and I filed like I usually have, like I have been for the last year, and received no benefits. It got a message saying that I was ineligible to receive benefits from that point.
Oh, but you were still able to file, though.
I was able to file, yes,
That's
but I was, I mean, they didn't take me out of the system, but they said that I was ineligible for benefits. And I'm assuming because of the identity issue, the verification of the identity issue. So I was curious if anybody else had gone through that process, because it sure looks to me like the IDME.com folks have screwed up and dropped the ball, because obviously I was receiving benefits from TWC for a year. So something changed, and it seems like it's the IDME thing that messed up. But anyway, if anybody else can shed any light on that or has had that same experience, I think it would be valuable for us to know about that.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's kind of, the whole reason we started doing this thing to begin with, right? Was to kind of share information about what is going on or what's not going on. Geez, I have heard about the IDME thing, and I haven't done it myself because I'm not currently in the system, but I have heard about it from other people, and but this is the first time I've heard of somebody getting their benefits dropped because of it.
Well, I don't know that it was because of it.
Right.
I mean, there was no explanation, but it seems like that was the agency that was supposed to be verifying my identity for TWC.
Yeah.
And I looked it up online, and TWC is one of their clients.
Yes.
So it makes some sense. But I don't know what happened. I mean, nobody explained anything to me, least of all IDME.com. So I don't know.
Yeah. You did mention that you got kind of a form letter response the first time from IDME, though, or something.
I got an email. I sent them an email to their support, and I got a response back saying, "We're sorry you're having problems. We're going to get to you quickly." Well, 2 or 3 days passed, and I didn't hear anything, so I sent them another email. And again, I got the same sort of form response email back saying, "Yeah, we're going to get back with you as soon as we can." Again, 2 or 3 days went by, and then that's when I started to get a little rough with them and just sent them an email saying, "Hey, look, you guys, it looks like you guys are responsible for the termination of my unemployment benefits. I'm not happy about this," and I let them know that.
Yeah.
Since then, I haven't even heard a word from them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and of course, this is the same old conflict of interest here. Is of course we are not actually their customer. The state of Texas is the customer.
That's right.
So
that's right.
We're not the ones that they're really trying to serve here. At least the IDME company. Well, and really the TWC is not. We're not the customers of the TWC. The employers really are. And So,
But unfortunately, from everything I've heard, the appeals process with TWC is lengthy and sometimes just really stubborn. I mean, I've known a couple of people who've gone through that process and have gotten really frustrated with it. So
most of the people that I've talked to that have started the appeal process have actually gotten help a different way
Right.
before the appeal process even started. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, I think you're right. Geez, yeah. So this is probably something, and you even tried your contact that we talked about a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
Francis, that that usually would
And yeah,
email
I didn't
when there
get
was a
anywhere with her,
delay.
but
And that,
I'm gonna try her again because
yeah,
it's getting to the point where I would like to have even if I'm not using the benefits, I would like to have a clean slate with TWC to where if I have to start the benefits up again at some point, I would like to be able to do that.
oh, absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you can't do anything if whatever system they want to use to identify you is
Doesn't work.
broken, it
Yeah.
doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think probably we should probably get in touch with the state senator's office that we've been working with as well. And go through
Absolutely.
there because the senators need that information too. They're actually in session right now, passing all kinds of laws that are supposed to be helping with this kind of thing, and they're also doing bathroom bills and gun stuff and all kinds of crazy things.
Homeless.
So, yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So. Yeah, that's right. Don't forget to vote, right? Everybody's got to vote for. It's early voting now, and then election day is the first.
Second,
Second.
May something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right at the beginning of May. The first,
Yeah.
first Tuesday in May. But yeah. Jeez. Oh man. Yeah, that's really disturbing. I have heard. Let me ask you this. So the other things that I've heard about this IDME system. Were mostly on Facebook, with other folks just sort of talking about it on Facebook. And some of the folks had mentioned that they got to a point in the process where they then had to call, and same thing with the TWC, where it was like they put in enough information. They said, okay, now we're going to need you to call us.
Wow.
And then they were never able to get through, just like one of the things we hear on the TWC.
Well, that's interesting because I never got, I didn't get to the point of calling. I got to the point of taking photos and sending them pictures, JPEGs of the documents that I had that they asked for.
Yeah.
And like I say, I sent them in and assumed everything was okay. But obviously not.
Apparently not. Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. Well, and golly, I mean, do you mind me asking what documents? I mean, were these Social Security numbers on these documents?
No, it was my driver's license and one other document, and I can't even remember what it was. It was a month ago now.
Yeah.
I think there were 2 documents there, which I copied and sent in, on the website with the application or whatever. Well, it wasn't even an application. It was just fill out this form,
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, much like the TWC itself, it's like when the entire state of Texas is your client, it's not easy.
It's trouble. Yeah,
Yeah.
There's trouble there. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Jeez. Well, let's ask the viewers if you've heard about this, if you're experiencing this. Let the Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee know about it. You can email us at ucac@afm433.com. We have, the local 433 unemployment information sharing page on Facebook. You can message us there. Let us know. What's going on. Of course, you can also, use the chat on the YouTube stream if you're tuning in live. Otherwise, I don't think there's a way to leave a comment there once we've done, once we're done recording for the day. But there's plenty of ways to get a hold of us. Let us know. You can call us down at the union office too, for sure. Because we definitely want to know about this because it can have some pretty bad consequences here. Geez, man. And then, do you mind telling us about the bright side?
Oh, well, yeah, at Floyd's recommendation from the show a couple of weeks ago, I did apply for the PPP loan, and through my local bank, and I was granted the loan,
All
which
right.
is, I mean, couldn't have happened at a better time since my unemployment benefits have terminated. So yeah, I mean, it was, you know, a lengthy application, but not that big of a deal. And the bank people kind of walked me through it and then checked it to make sure it was okay before they sent it into the SBA.
And
So it was, you know, relatively easy process to go through to get the PPP loan. And I actually got the money this week
all
in my
right.
bank account. Yeah. So
Let me ask you, if you don't mind me asking, did you use the same bank that you usually use for your
yeah,
business stuff, like Floyd had recommended?
yes, I did. And they were very good. And, you know, once I got a contact person over there who knew what he was doing, then I could call him and, you know, if I had to, leave a message. And he was very good about calling me back.
Great.
And really helped me to, you know, steer me towards giving the right answers on the application.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if, and that was something called the second round or second draw
Mm-hmm.
for PPP loans. And I don't know if the deadline is now passed or not. I know the deadline was passed last Wednesday, I think it was, at my bank.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure if other banks are still processing those or not. I don't know. If somebody was interested in applying for one of those, they'd have to go to their bank or call their bank or go online and see if they can find out if the deadline is.
I thought it had been extended to May 15th, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But it's worth asking, you know, wherever
It,
you've
it
been.
definitely is. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's free money and really helps you out. And it's not, you don't have to report it on your taxes, and, you know, you get forgiven if you do the right things for 3 or 4 months. You get your loan forgiven, which is fantastic.
Yeah, all you have to do is disperse that money
To yourself or to whoever you employ.
at the right rate. Yeah. So, man, well that's good news. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And of course, we talked about, like with Floyd, like, I mean, you could potentially, it's not necessarily an either or thing, but you probably, while you're doing the PPP program for those 8 or 10 weeks, you need to report that income to the
Yes.
TWC if you're on it, if you're still on the TWC, and then you probably wouldn't qualify for benefits during those weeks, but that's okay. You could still stay in the system,
Right.
potentially. But yeah, not if they can't identify you. And what an irony if your bank can identify
that's
you,
the catch.
give
Yeah.
you this lump sum, and then the TWC can't identify you for the weekly
Yeah.
things. Yeah. So, oh man, yikes. Well, the thing I wanted to bring up was that we heard from some musicians this week, and we also heard from our friends over at the Health Alliance, the Health Alliance for Austin Musicians, that they had heard from some musicians about this, and it's the musicians who are self-employed, you know, technically self-employed, like a lot of us, and they'd been hearing from. They'd been, what it was, like their accounts had been like red flagged for like a check or something that they had to call somebody about, which is very difficult as usual. And it has to do with the question on the payment request that says, "Are you still working for this employer?" Which, of course, if you're self-employed, of course you are. Well, unless you're not going to be self-employed anymore, I suppose. But of course, you answer that question. Yes, if you're self-employed, right? Or, you know, and as long as you're planning on reopening your business. And so anyway, some musicians have heard from TWC officials that have contacted them, or TWC representatives that have contacted them, that when you mark that, it makes it red flag your account. But then they haven't been able to give any guidance on how should we mark that? Should we say no, we're not going to work for that employer anymore? Because then they're saying you're not going to be self-employed anymore, and then then you're not reopening your business, and then maybe you don't qualify for benefits at all. So yeah, it's not real clear, and we haven't actually heard yet whether those representatives that the musicians heard from identified themselves as contractors or not. We've experienced that too, where the person you're talking to identifies themselves as a contractor, just sort of as a way to say like I'm dealing with this messed up system too, and I don't know what to tell you other than that I'm reading off this script and this is all I can tell you. So yeah, so that's another thing to watch out for. And we can of course appeal to the viewers again too. If you have more information about that, if you've been told that by a TWC rep, and did they identify themselves as a contractor? Did they give you any advice as to how you should answer that question so as not to be red flagged, quote unquote, whatever that means? Any more information about what that means? Yeah. It's usually we have a little more information to offer, but on this one we don't. But it had a few instances this week reported to us, and that probably means there's a lot of it going around. Just like the ID thing, there must be more people hitting that wall this week. So yeah, we'd like to hear from you, and yeah, we'll update you. Once we try to deal with it a little more with Mark's case, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, man, jeez. Yeah, have you heard anything about that, Mark? About that question about yes, I'm still, or yes or no, I'm still working for this?
I guess I always interpreted that question differently on the payment request form and just assumed that it meant a different employer than myself.
Oh.
So in other words, yes, I'm still self-employed, but no, I'm not working for any former employers, is the way I understood that. So I've always answered that question no.
Yeah.
But maybe I was just lucky to interpret it that way. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's been something that the TWC reps have said to these musicians as well. They said, well, the system's just not designed for self-employed people because we never qualified before,
Right.
Before last year. Last year? God, was last year? Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So some disappointing stuff, but at least that PPP option, may be there, might still be there even. Yeah, but like we've been saying all along, we're going to be the last ones to really get back to quote unquote normalcy. So get help while you can, and live lean to so that we get through the whole crisis together, and we can make it to when the business returns to where it was before March of last year. Yeah. Jeez. Man. Well, so yeah, I guess kind of a grim episode today, but a little bit of light. I'm glad the PPP thing worked out, and thank you to Floyd for talking with us a couple weeks ago about that. Yeah, that's definitely helpful. So, all right. Do you have anything else to add for this week, Mark?
I don't think so. I think that's it. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's all we've got on the schedule here. So, if you're a musician, if you're in the music industry, the entertainment industry, don't give up. There's help out there, and we can make it through this thing by sharing information and with solidarity and working together to bring things back. So we'll be here next week talking about whatever's going on, and we wish you well, and don't give up. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you, Mark.